I was standing in front of my hotel. The one I built. The one they said I'd never finish. My father was in the lobby. He was smiling. He had his phone out. Taking pictures. I hadn't invited him. That's when I realized something was very wrong. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I graduated top of my class from Cornell's hotel management program 3 years ago. Nobody from my family came to the ceremony. Not my father. Not my mother. Not my younger brother. They said they had a prior commitment. My brother's baseball tournament. 3 hours away. They chose a little league game over my graduation. I sat alone in that auditorium. Watched other families take photos. Heard them cheering. I clapped for myself. After the ceremony, I turned off my phone for 2 days. When I turned it back on, there was one text from my mother, "Hope it went well." That was it. I didn't respond. I moved to Austin the next week, with $8,000 in savings and started working the front desk at a Marriott. Nights. Weekends. Double shifts. I studied every system. Every booking pattern. Every guest complaint. Every operational inefficiency. Within 6 months, I was assistant manager. Within a year, manager. I saved everything. Lived in a studio with 2 roommates. Ate meal prep chicken and rice for 18 months straight. I didn't call home. They didn't call me. 2 years after graduation, I had $127,000 saved. I met an investor at a hospitality conference who believed in my pitch. We opened our first boutique hotel in East Austin. 42 rooms. Modern design. Competitive rates. It filled up in 3 weeks. 6 months later, we broke ground on the second property. Then a third. I worked 16-hour days. I approved every design decision. Every hire. Every vendor contract. The business grew. Fast. I still didn't hear from my family. Then last month, the Austin Business Journal ran a feature. 27-year-old hotelier builds $94 million empire in 3 years. The article went viral. Local news picked it up. Then state news. My phone started ringing. Unknown numbers. Old classmates. Distant relatives. Then my father's name appeared on the screen. I stared at it. Let it ring. Didn't answer. He texted 5 minutes later. Saw the article. So proud of you. We should talk. Family is family. I read it 3 times. Family is family. I didn't respond. 2 days later, my mother called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Her voice was warm. Excited. Sweetheart, we saw the news. We're so happy for you. We'd love to come visit. See what you've built. We miss you. My brother sent a message on Instagram. Bro, that's crazy. Congrats. We should catch up. I didn't reply to any of them. But I noticed something. They didn't apologize. Not once. They acted like the last 3 years didn't happen. Like they'd been there all along. That same week, I got an email from my father. He'd sent it to my business account. Professional. Formal. He wanted to discuss a potential partnership. He'd recently left his corporate job. He had extensive experience in management. He thought we could explore opportunities together. He wanted a job. I closed the email. That night, I checked my mother's Facebook page. Something I hadn't done in years. She'd shared the Business Journal article. Her caption, "So proud of my son. We always knew he'd do amazing things." 43 comments. All congratulating her. Praising her parenting. She replied to every single one. "Thank you so much. We're so blessed. He's always been so driven." I took a screenshot. Then I scrolled further back. To 3 years ago. The week of my graduation. There were 12 posts that week. My brother's baseball tournament. Action shots. Team photos. A trophy. One post said, "Wouldn't have missed this for the world." Not one mention of my graduation. I sat there for a long time. Just looking at the screen. My assistant knocked on my office door. Asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. But I wasn't. So I stopped reacting. And I started watching. My father called again 4 days later. This time, I answered. "Hey, kiddo." His voice was casual. Warm. Like we talked every week. I said hello. "Listen, I know it's been a while. Life gets busy. But I saw what you've built, and I'm genuinely impressed. Really proud." I didn't respond. "Your mother and I were talking. We'd love to come down. See the hotels. Take you to dinner. Catch up properly." I asked when. "How about next weekend? We could fly in Friday. Stay through Sunday. Your brother has a break from school." I told him I'd check my schedule. "Great. And hey, about that email I sent. No pressure. But if you ever need someone with executive experience, I've got 20 years in operations. Just putting it out there. Family helping family, you know." I said I'd think about it. We hung up. I opened my laptop and started a new folder. Labeled it documentation. Then I called my old roommate from Cornell. Marcus. He'd gone into forensic accounting. I asked him if he could pull some public records for me. Tax liens. Business filings. Credit reports. He asked why. I told him I needed to verify something. He said he'd have it by Monday. That weekend, I drove 3 hours to my hometown. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I parked 2 blocks from my parents' house. It was 4 p.m. My father's car was in the driveway. I walked to the neighbor's house. Mrs. Chen. She'd lived there for 30 years. Used to give me lemonade when I mowed their lawn in high school. She was surprised to see me. Invited me in immediately. We talked for 20 minutes. I asked how she was. How the neighborhood was. Then I asked about my parents. She got quiet. Are they doing all right? I asked. She hesitated. Then she spoke carefully. I probably shouldn't say anything. I waited. They've had some trouble. Financial trouble. Your father lost his job about 8 months ago. Not retired. Let go. Your mother tried to keep it quiet, but people talk. I asked if she knew anything else. They put the house up for sale last month. Took it down after a week. I think they couldn't get the price they wanted. I've seen collection notices in their mail. Not my business, but you notice things. I thanked her. Told her not to mention I'd visited. She promised. I drove back to Austin that night. Monday morning, Marcus called. You sitting down? I was. Your father filed for bankruptcy 2 months ago. Chapter 7. Complete liquidation. He's got 3 maxed credit cards. 2 defaulted personal loans. The house has a second mortgage he took out last year. He's 4 months behind on payments. I asked about my mother. She co-signed on everything. She's equally liable. I asked about my brother. He's enrolled at a private university. $48,000 a year. They're covering it. Or they were. Last semester's tuition is still unpaid. He's on academic probation for non-payment. I thanked him. He asked if I was okay. I said I was. But my hands were shaking. I opened my email. Went back to my father's message. Read it again. Extensive experience in management. Explore opportunities together. I opened my mother's voicemail. Listened to it again. We'd love to come visit. See what you've built. Not see you. See what you've built. I checked my brother's Instagram. His recent posts. Spring break in Cabo. New sneakers. Expensive restaurants. All posted in the last 3 months. While they were going bankrupt. I took screenshots of everything. Then I opened my business email and started drafting a reply to my father. I wrote 3 sentences. Deleted them. I wanted to tell him I knew. I wanted to ask him why he didn't come to my graduation. Why he didn't call for 3 years. Why now? Why only after the article? I wanted to ask if he'd ever actually been proud. But I didn't send anything. Because if I confronted him now, he'd know I was on to him. He'd prepare. He'd have excuses. He'd play the victim. He'd say it wasn't about the money. That he really did want to reconnect. That the timing was just coincidental. And some part of me might have believed him. I closed the draft. I needed more than public records and screenshots. I needed to hear it. In their own words. Confronting them would have ruined everything. I texted my father Wednesday morning. Next weekend works. I'll book you a suite at the flagship property. My treat. He responded in 30 seconds. That's wonderful. Can't wait to see you. Mom and your brother are so excited. I made the reservation. Presidential suite. Top floor. Full amenities. Then I called my head of security. His name was Derek. Former FBI. I'd hired him 6 months ago, after an incident with a guest. I asked him to meet me in my office. He arrived 10 minutes later. I explained the situation. Not everything. Just enough. I need the suite monitored. Audio only. I need to know what they say when I'm not in the room. He didn't ask why. Texas is a one-party consent state. You can record conversations you're part of. But recording people without their knowledge in a private space is illegal. Even if you own the property. I nodded. Unless they're informed that security monitoring is active. We have signs posted in common areas. Lobby. Hallways. Conference rooms. But not in guest suites. I thought for a moment. What if we add a monitoring notice to the welcome packet? Small. Standard legal language. For your safety, this property utilizes audio security monitoring in accordance with state law. Derek considered it. That could work. Most guests don't read the packet. But it's disclosed. Consent is implied by staying in the room. I told him to draft the notice. He had it ready by end of day. I had it printed and placed in every suite welcome packet. Not just the presidential. All of them. Dated and logged. Friday afternoon, my parents arrived. I met them in the lobby. My mother hugged me. Long tight. She smelled the same. Like lavender and vanilla. My father shook my hand. Firm grip. Big smile. My brother nodded. He'd grown. Taller than me now. This place is incredible, my mother said. She was looking around the lobby. Marble floors. Custom chandelier. Floor-to-ceiling windows. You did all this, my brother asked. I told him I had a team. Still. This is insane. I showed them to their suite. Gave them the key cards. Pointed out the amenities. My father picked up the welcome packet. Flipped through it casually. Set it back down. He didn't read it. We'll get settled and meet you for dinner, my mother asked. I told them 7 o'clock. Restaurant on the 2nd floor. They thanked me. I left. Derek was waiting in the security office. He'd already activated the system. I put on the headphones. For 20 minutes, nothing. Sounds of unpacking. Running water. My mother commenting on the bathroom. Then my father's voice. All right. Let's talk strategy. I sat up. Jim, not now, my mother said. When, then? This is why we're here. We're here to see our son. We're here because he's worth $94 million, and we're about to lose the house. Silence. I'm not saying we don't care about him. I'm saying we need to be smart. He clearly has resources. His family. Family helps family. My brother spoke. This feels weird. What feels weird? My father asked. I don't know. We didn't talk to him for 3 years. Now we show up because he's rich. We didn't talk to him because he shut us out, my father said. He's the one who went silent. We tried reaching out. That was a lie. I checked. I'd gone back through 3 years of phone records. Text logs. Emails. They never tried. He seems different, my mother said quietly. He's successful. That changes people, my father said. No. He seems guarded. Can you blame him? But that's why we need to approach this carefully. No pressure. Just reconnect. Remind him we're family. Then, when the time is right, we mention the situation. Maybe he offers to help. Maybe we suggest a role in the company. Partnership. Investment. Whatever works. And if he says no, my brother asked. He won't. He's our son. Our blood. He'll come through. My mother didn't respond. I took off the headphones. Sat there. Derek was watching me. You good? I nodded. But I wasn't. I'd known. Logically. I'd seen the evidence. The bankruptcy. The unpaid tuition. The timing. But hearing it was different. Hearing my father reduce me to a number. To a resource. To someone who would come through. Hearing him lie about reaching out. I put the headphones back on. They were talking about dinner now. What to order. How to act. My father's voice again. Just be natural. Warm. Let him talk about the business. Show interest. Make him feel good. Then we build from there. I saved the recording. Backed it up to 3 separate drives. Sent an encrypted copy to Marcus. Then I got dressed for dinner. I picked a tie. Navy blue. The one I'd worn to my graduation. The one I'd worn alone. I looked at myself in the mirror. My father thought I was naive. That I didn't see this coming. He thought he was the smart one. The strategist. He had no idea what I'd built. Not just the hotels. The systems. The legal structures. The protections. I'd learned from every guest who tried to scam us. Every contractor who inflated invoices. Every employee who stole. I'd learned to document everything. And I had. I walked to the restaurant at 6:55. They were already seated. Smiling. Waiting. They thought it was just another day. It wasn't. Dinner lasted 2 hours. My mother asked about the hotels. The design process. The staff. She seemed genuinely interested. My brother asked about the money. How I got investors. How much I made. My father asked about operations. Management structure. Decision-making processes. He was interviewing me. I answered everything. Calmly. Thoroughly. I told them about the long hours. The risks. The failures along the way. My mother reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We're so proud of you. I hope you know that. I looked at her. Are you? She blinked. Of course. Why would you even ask? Just making sure. My father cleared his throat. Listen, son. I know we haven't been as present as we should have been. Life got complicated. But we're here now. And we want to be involved. In whatever capacity makes sense. I asked what he meant. Well, I've been thinking about my next chapter. I've got experience you could use. I could consult. Advise. Maybe even take on a formal role, if that interests you. My brother looked uncomfortable. My mother was staring at her plate. I asked my father what kind of role. Whatever you need. Operations. Strategy. Business development. I'm flexible. I nodded slowly. And what would you want in return? We're family. We'd figure out something fair. Salary. Equity. Partnership. Whatever structure works. I set down my fork. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why didn't you come to my graduation? The table went silent. My father blinked. What? 3 years ago. Cornell. My graduation. Why didn't you come? My mother's face went pale. Sweetheart, we explained that. Your brother had his tournament. A little league game. It was the championship, my father said. And that was more important than my college graduation. It wasn't about importance. It was about timing. They conflicted. We had to make a choice. You made a choice, I said. I'm asking why. My brother pushed his chair back slightly. My father's jaw tightened. I don't think this is the time or place for this conversation. When would be better? I asked. Because you didn't want to have it 3 years ago. You sent one text. Hope it went well. That was it. My mother's eyes were wet. We should have been there. You're right. I'm sorry. We made a mistake. Did you make a mistake? I asked. Or did you just not care? That's not fair, my father said. What's not fair is pretending this is a reunion. What's not fair is showing up after 3 years of silence, because you saw an article. What's not fair is acting like you're proud, when you're really just broke. My father's face went red. My mother whispered, how did you? I know about the bankruptcy, I said. I know about the foreclosure. The unpaid tuition. The maxed credit cards. I know all of it. My brother stood up. My father stared at me. You investigated us. I protected myself. We're your family. You're people who ignored me until I had something you needed. My mother was crying now. Quietly. That's not true, she said. We love you. We've always loved you. I pulled out my phone. Opened the recording app. Placed it on the table. I want you to listen to something. I pressed play. My father's voice filled the space between us. We're here because he's worth $94 million, and we're about to lose the house. My mother closed her eyes. The recording continued. Family helps family. Just be natural. Warm. Let him talk about the business. Show interest. Make him feel good. Then we build from there. I stopped it. My father's face had gone from red to white. That's illegal, he said quietly. It's not. You were informed. Welcome packet. Page 3. Audio security monitoring disclosure. You signed the registration agreement when you checked in. He said nothing. I'm not giving you money, I said. I'm not giving you a job. I'm not saving your house. You made your choices. I'm making mine. I stood up. The suite is paid through Sunday. Stay if you want. Leave if you want. Either way, don't contact me again. My mother reached for my arm. Please. We can fix this. We can talk about this. I looked at her hand on my sleeve. You had 3 years to talk to me. You didn't want to. Now I don't want to. I walked out of the restaurant. Took the elevator to my office. Sat down at my desk. My hands were shaking. But I wasn't angry. I was calm. Derek knocked 20 minutes later. They're checking out. Early. Your father demanded to speak to management. I told him you're not available. I nodded. He threatened legal action. Said the recording was entrapment. It wasn't. I know. I told him the same thing. He left. I asked about my mother and brother. Your mother was crying. Your brother helped with the bags. Neither of them said anything. I thanked him. He lingered in the doorway. For what it's worth. You handled that perfectly. He left. I sat there for a long time. Then I opened my laptop. Checked my mother's Facebook. She deleted the post about the article. All 43 comments. Gone. I closed the laptop. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother. I'm sorry. For what it's worth. You deserved better. I read it twice. Didn't respond. Maybe someday I would. But not today. I looked out the window. The Austin skyline. The buildings I'd studied. The city I'd bet everything on. 3 years ago, I sat alone at my graduation. Tonight, I sat alone in my office. But the difference was choice. I'd built something they couldn't take. Something they couldn't touch. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted proof. Proof that I didn't need them. Proof that their approval didn't define me. Proof that family is what you build, not what you're born into. I turned off my office lights. Drove home. Unlocked my apartment door. The space was quiet. Clean. Mine. I made tea. Sat on the couch. Turned on nothing. Just sat in the silence. Outside, the city hummed. Traffic. Voices. Life continuing. Inside, everything was still. No anger. No sadness. No doubt. Just peace. The kind you only get when you stop waiting for people to show up. When you stop hoping they'll change. When you finally let go. I took a sip of tea. That night, everything was quiet.